So, I was thinking about the presidential election. That's what's coming up. It's end of October 2024. And I was thinking about what I valued in a leader, right? I mean, that's how most people make choices in life. They determine what they value, what they want because of what they value. And, they pick something that's most aligned with that. And that's how our voting works. You're given some options. If you don't like them, then I guess you go run yourself. And you decide which candidate is most aligned with your values. And one of the things that I value is a leadership and a leader who does communicate with other countries effectively. And it made me think about all of the allegations and things that have come up, especially between American leaders and Russia, but also specific American leaders and North Korea and China and a lot of other large countries, especially countries that don't hesitate to use war as a threat. And that scares a lot of people, the threat of war. Understandably so. It would be devastating, absolutely. And it would definitely impact you. And it would definitely impact your family and the economy and a lot of other things. And one of the things that I realized was that leadership that American leadership that we're voting for needs to be able to have a good relationship with other countries. Because even though a lot of these other countries have leaders we don't like, a lot of people don't like Putin, right? They don't like whoever the leader of China is. They don't like the leader of, North Korea. And I'm not saying you should like them. I'm pointing out that whether you like them or not, we need a leader who has a great relationship with them. And that makes a lot of people uncomfortable, right? How can an American leader have a good relationship with someone we don't like? It makes me think of that verse that says, keep your friends close and your enemies closer, right? If you want to know, if you want to be in the know, if you want to set yourself up, or in this case, your country and the people you're leading and representing for success, then you need to keep your enemies close. So this especially applies to those people we don't necessarily like. A lot of people don't like Putin, like I said. A lot of it, and I would venture to say the same goes for world leaders of the past. People like Stalin and Mussolini and Hitler. A lot of people, it doesn't matter where they stand politically, hop in quickly to say those are all dangerous, evil people. How could we ever support them? I'm not saying we should support them. I'm saying we need to be good friends with them, right? And you'd say, why would you want to be good friends with a bad person? That's the wrong way to look at it. It's, why would you not want to be friends with your enemy? And so when a lot of people bash others for their close relationship with people we don't like, again, specifically countries like North Korea, China, and Russia, who are, they're improving countries with a huge capability for war and destruction, and they also come off as very aggressive, right? And so having a good friendship with them, being able to easily communicate with them, being able to quickly get them on the phone, isn't that your, good friends with them and have the same values as them. It's that you're keeping your enemies close. That's what it is. And so I suppose, yeah, the name that definitely comes up most when this is talked about is Trump. You know, people are like, Trump is like, why is he so tight with Putin, right? You know, I think that's probably the biggest that stands out. And the answer is because any leader knows they need to be hanging out with other world leaders. You need to be hanging out in the loop. You don't have to agree with them. You don't have to have the same values. You don't have to do the same things, but you need to be around them, and you need to be making sure that you're keeping your enemies close. Of course, I'm also not saying that we should be enemies with Russia. I'm simply saying that just because you don't like Putin and what he represents, or other world leaders, right? I think everybody can agree we're not a fan of what Kim Jong-un represented, and his desire to use nuclear war as a threat, and the first fallback for anything that people did that he didn't like. It's not that you're becoming friends with them. You know, it's not that you're trying to hang out with them and adopt their values. It's that you're getting close to them because that's your crowd. You know, as a world leader, your crowd is to hang out with other world leaders and to be in good terms with them, right? So that when something does happen, you're able to step in and say, hey, dude, look, you know, we've had a good relationship. You know, you see things one way, I see things another. But let's respect our relationship. Let's take each other seriously. And let's see how we can do this without, you know, devastating our countries, right? That's your job as a world leader. And to do that fearlessly is that much more important, you know. Russia went to war with Ukraine. People are not for that. I understand that. Oh, why would you be for a war at all? A lot of people are because there's money involved, whether they care to admit that or not. But, people aren't for the war in Ukraine, and they're upset about it. But the reality is that war started because Russia, Putin, has no respect for, our last American president, Joe Biden. If Russia and Putin had respected Joe Biden, Joe would have been able to step in and say, hey, we're not starting a war. You know, this isn't necessary, right? And you saw that Trump was able to do that multiple times. With Korea, he was able to go in and settle conflicts in the Middle East. He was able to meet with other world leaders in person, right? He took the time to fly out across the world, how many tens of thousands of miles, and say, hey, look, we have different values. We do things differently, but, we're still buddies. Like, let's respect our relationship with each other. Let's look out for our people. Let's look out for other countries. Let's, not waste money on war. Let's, etc. And that's what a lot of people forget is keeping your enemies close is very valuable. It's necessary. It's very necessary. And as a world leader, you need to be hanging out with world leaders or you're not going to be in touch, right? You want to have a good relationship with other world leaders, even if you don't agree on their viewpoints, right? Like, that's just how it works. I'm friends with lots of people. I don't agree with their viewpoints, right? But I hang out with them because it's important for me to have good relationships with important people so that I can accomplish specific goals, right? And in the goal of being a leader of a country, you need to have relationships with other leaders of countries because you're handling with, prevention of war, you're handling with trades, you're handling with peace treaties and alliances and all these other things. And so you need to look at the group you should be spending time with, even if you don't agree with who they are and what they do as leaders, and say, we need to have a good relationship. And we need to have a relationship where we respect each other, and that's definitely, as one example, what Trump had for Putin. And Trump respected Putin for the kind of leader he was. It doesn't mean Trump liked Putin for the leader he was, but there's always things we admire about other people. It's like, I don't like Hitler as a person, but he had drive, he had motivation. I can find something that was good about him. It's like, gosh, like if you believe in the devil isn't a good I wouldn't even say person, but what the devil represents isn't good, but the devil sure is clever. I respect and admire intelligence and cleverness and strategy. So there's always something good we can respect about other people. It doesn't mean we have to love them, but it does mean we can absolutely kind of admire an aspect that they have and like learn from that ourselves. That's why you can always learn from some of the worst things that happen to you. But just because someone is a certain way or holds different values than you, or holds values you deem as bad, doesn't mean that you can't respect them for who they are, or respect them for how they got there, or any of that stuff. And to be able to have them as a friend, as someone you're close with and can reach out to, especially as a world leader, is critical, because you can then step in and say, hey, look, we have a good history, of holding a relationship of respect. Let's not destroy that by going to war, or by doing something that will greatly go against the other's values. Like, I'm asking you to respect my values, type of thing. And that's absolutely critical. So there you go. What kind of leader do you want? Of course you want a leader who's in the loop with other world leaders, and has respect among world leaders, and has a good relationship with world leaders, even if they see things differently. And yeah, I think that's enough said.